Hello and welcome to the Virgo Cup 2.0 guide. This is the guide for Champion Meeting 17. At a glance in Virgo Cup 2.0, Christmas Oguri Cap dominates this track. In addition, the stamina requirements for this track are deceptively high, and so Christmas Oguri Cap is going to have a much easier time meeting those requirements due to the innate stamina in her kit. Debuffers will make the stat requirements on this track much harder to meet, so overall this is going to be kind of a difficult track to race on. For deck building, you do definitely want to use Stamina Sparks. Stamina is difficult to get in Grand Concert when you're trying to roll other stats, and it makes some decks feel very awkward. If your Uma has a high speed growth, you can run 2 or 3 speed cards as well as 1 or 2 wit cards alongside Light Hello and either a stamina or power card. For 0 speed growth Umas, I do think that 3 speed cards is the way to go. With that, you would pair Light Hello along with a wit card and then your choice of stamina or power cards. You can try to cut the stamina and power card here and rely ultimately on your stamina sparks and any kind of like innate recoveries or innate stamina growths, but it is going to be harder to meet that requirement. For innate recovery Umas, you can choose to bring 2 or 3 speed cards and 2 or 3 wit cards alongside Light Hello. With this setup, you do want to try to high roll stamina and then supplement your stamina through the recovery in your kit. Note that every single deck here includes Light Hello. Light Hello is a must include for every single deck in Grand Concert, so you can't get by on squeezing her out of the deck even if you wanted to. For stat recommendations, Medium S is required on this track. You really want to get Medium S at all costs. You don't have to max your speed. Medium S is far more important than maximizing your speed, but if you can get above 1450, you're in a pretty decent spot. Higher is of course going to be better though. For stamina, I have been recommending about 800 stamina plus a gold recovery. Now this is not going to survive in rooms with multiple murmur debuffers. However, this is a good baseline to either build off of or cut a little bit less depending on how risky you want to play it. Both power and wit are kind of luxury stats again now that speed has been uncapped. Backliners will want to try to balance power and wit, whereas Christmas Oguri and frontrunners will want to try to capitalize on a higher wit. I would say for this track, speed and stamina is going to be the most important 2 stats. You want to be able to get enough stamina to survive the track and however many debuffers you're comfortable trying to survive, and then you want to get as much speed as possible. You don't want to completely ignore your power and wit, but it might be better to focus more on stamina and speed if you're struggling to hit other stat requirements. When building a Christmas Oguri, you do want to use Agnes Tachyon as a parent so that you can inherit Uma Squared. Uma Squared acts as a backup trigger for your Festive Miracle on this track, and hitting either Uma Squared or 777s as your 3rd recovery is going to proc Festive Miracle with carryover. At the minimum, Christmas Oguri needs 650 stamina. However, I do recommend building more than this in order to survive stamina debuffers. You can go as high as 900, I've even seen a couple in the 1000 range, but I do think that 900 is going to be on the very safe side for a Christmas Oguri stam. For a velocity debuffer, this means that you can run Dominator and Keen Eye and try to hit them both on a good race. For a stamina debuffer, I would recommend only taking Mystifying Murmur and using the Adventures of 564. Now, the problem with a lot of stamina gold debuffs is that they are difficult to trigger, so what I've seen people doing is running only Mystifying Murmur and then Adventures of 564 to guarantee that Mystifying Murmur will proc. If you are debuffing stamina, I would recommend bringing 2 debuffers to have 2 full Mystifying Murmurs. Otherwise, you probably won't be able to stam out most Christmas Oguris, and she is the biggest threat on the track. If you are a backliner player, running a front debuffer can actually help you to stay closer enough to the Christmas Oguris so that you will be able to overtake them in the late race. Running your debuffers with Dirt C, which does require 10 Dirt Sparks, can help them to proc their debuffs at a better time on the track. Pace Chasers do have access to Neck and Neck. They can also use No Stopping Me, particularly if there are fronts in the lobby. Now there's a couple other acceleration options here, but I don't think that any of them are particularly great. For fronts, I do think that fronts are pretty tricky to build, and they don't have a very high win rate in rooms other than Kapanoviki herself. If you are running a Runaway, just keep in mind that she does buff Christmas Oguri's positioning, and so you can use a Runaway in order to buff your own Christmas Oguri if you like. For pace, I don't really recommend running any Pace Chaser other than Christmas Oguri herself because there's not really any other consistent acceleration on the track. For lates and ends, I've put them together on this slide because they do play very similarly. Ends can't use On Your Left and lates can't use Daring Strike, but that's pretty much the only difference between them. Running a front debuffer can help you to squish down the lobby if there are no other fronts in the room, which will help you to catch up with that Oguri a little bit easier. Here are a couple example builds of Christmas Oguri. Christmas Oguri is very forgiving to build because she has good growths and because Tachyon speed gives her a lot of accessible skills. This means that your deck is actually very flexible and you can run a lot of different cards with her. Both of these Christmas Oguris I would consider to be pretty good. I would say you could get more stam if you want to survive multiple Murmur rooms, but ultimately I think that any Christmas Oguri that looks even remotely like these is capable of winning. If you are not Christmas Oguri, then balancing stamina and velocity is going to be very tricky. You will have to trade either stamming out in stamina debuffer rooms or just losing lengths in dominator debuffer rooms. There's really no way to fully insulate yourself against both because you don't have a lot of the innate advantages that Christmas Oguri does. So I would say that if you're using Umas that are not Christmas Oguri, just do your best and try not to worry about it too much if you get countered. If you are running multiple aces, I would recommend trying to run one with higher stamina and one with lower stamina, just to try to counteract both of the possible room permutations that you might run into. I do think that future CMs are going to be a little bit better once we are not stuck on a dirt medium and trying to learn Grand Concert at the same time. So just take your time, try to learn Grand Concert, and I hope to see you next time. Bye-bye.